he had uh, not a round table, but an open house meeting
Mm.
in Disney on Monday, did Bob Iger. And of course, now we have more news coming out from that. Now we know a little bit more about what Bob Iger is planning to do for Disney. Now, partially, he is going to continue what Chapek started in terms of taking Disney away from political activist back to politically neutral. This was said between the words, but that was still one unmistakable takeaway from the meeting in Disney on Monday. We discussed this with Kamran Pasha, but another thing that he did, and we predicted this, we did say that one of the things that Chapek did, which was absolutely brilliant, is that he recognized that Disney's problem right now is that the creators themselves are toxic. He's dealing with toxic creators and toxic department heads that just want to be activists for the sake of activism. It's not just that they're forced into it, it's that they want to. We have heard from multiple places now that this is the case with Kevin Feige, for instance. It's not just a matter of there's ESG investment and stuff like that. Somehow he has fully gone into that. He's fully on board with it. So now he's extra woke, more woke than he has to be, but due to his own conviction. Same thing as Kathleen Kennedy. She doesn't have to do all of the stuff that she does to get ESG money. Part of that is her own ideology as well. This is something that Bob Chapek recognized. And so what he did, which he was criticized for, and this was when the industry really started hating him, was that he initiated a new organizational structure where power was taken away from the creatives and away from the department heads and given to a new distribution department, which was run by Kareem Daniels, who reported straight to Bob Chapek. So what would then happen is that the department heads, they would take their projects, they would go to Kareem Daniels, and Kareem Daniels would then decide, okay, this gets the green light, this doesn't, this goes to streaming, and this goes to the big screen. And Kareem Daniels, in turn, he would his job was to ensure that what really got like the big investment, big money, these were things that had commercial appeal. So, in a sense, what happened was that power was taken away from the creatives, away from the department heads, and given back to the audience. This is what Chapek did. Now, we did not see the effects of that, and we won't see those movies for years yet. But for instance, I can give you one example. Were you all excited about Deadpool Part 3? It's going to have Hugh Jackman. That was a direct result of that policy. That was a Chapek greenlit movie coming from that organization. Now, what we have learned is that Bob Iger, he is undoing all that. He is going back to his old way of doing things, which is essentially all power to the creatives. He thinks that the creatives, they are such creative powerhouses. The department heads, they are so in tune with the market that they're going to fix this. They just need full autonomy like they had before, like when they really drove Disney into the ground. So that's what he's doing again, empowering the people who have run Disney into the ground with their Uber woke projects. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, gentlemen, do you think in this atmosphere and with the people currently working at Disney, is it the right move to let these people do exactly what they want? Mr. Chato.
Well, there's an interesting point that you made. With regards to Deadpool, I specifically remember Ryan Reynolds. I'm on first name basis with him. All Canadians are. That he said there was never going to be a third because Disney didn't want it. So this would be back in the Iger days. And it's really curious that since Chapek came over, that one thing seemed to be a bellwether that maybe things had changed. And I don't know if I can lay the blame, let's say, on Chapek for letting that cat out of the bag, that they let Reynolds do a third Deadpool, because I distinctly remember him saying it doesn't look like Disney had any interest in Deadpool.
No, and they were the ones who wanted to do that PG-13 Deadpool, and that failed.
Right.
And what you're talking about is he said they had a script ready for Deadpool 3, and they're like, no, we're good.
Right. So what changed? It has to be Chapek, right?
Absolutely, exactly, it was.
Right. Yeah.
And so is Iger going to put that cat back in the bag? So I
don't think he can now, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Far along, you can't stop it.
So that's a bellwether for me, that it took Chapek to bring Deadpool back, which to me, it was more like a Zaslav kind of move. Here we have a popular franchise with problematic, non-woke elements to it, but we're going to make money on this. Let's do it. It's a simple decision.
Yeah.
And,
no, because you nailed it. That's exactly what happened. We didn't hear anything about Deadpool 3 for the longest of time, other than the powers that be behind it expressing doubt that it would ever going to happen, because Disney had their own ideas, meaning Iger and Kevin Feige had their ideas for where they wanted to go. Case in point, just look to Daredevil. What happened with that once they got that back? They're probably going to take it that direction.
Wow.
Then comes Chapek. Then he institutes his structure, taking power away from the creatives and away from the department's heads. Under this structure, now Kareem Daniel can go directly to Ryan Reynolds and say, hey, tell me again about this Deadpool 3 thing you wanted. Oh, you wanted Hugh Jackman? Right, let's give him a call. No, we don't need Kevin Feige in on this. He doesn't have to sign off on it. I have to sign off on it.
And something else happened too. And the other thing that happened was Chapek noticed that 60% of their audience was adults without children. And at that point is when we got, like you just said, Andre, not only did Daredevil come back over, that got greenlit for 30 some episodes, and they bought back the Netflix shows so they could bring them over to Disney Plus. That is a complete Chapek move as far as I can see. Because he could tell Daredevil was popular. And then the same thing with Deadpool, like you just said. We have an adult audience. We need Deadpool.
She-Hulk shows were written 5 years ago.
I'm not talking about
the emasculation of Daredevil in She-Hulk would have been
that was done under Iger.
That's my point. Yeah, see, that's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. Feige was more than fine with just getting the character back. Feige had no intention of making the character. That was why they kept saying these are going to be 25% different characters. These are going to be 25% different versions. I have a feeling, and I'm just speculating here, but just going by what happened, I think Chapek noticed how popular the character was, and he's like, no, I think we can go back to a little bit more of the adult-oriented Daredevil, and I think the compromise was that Feige got to redo Born Again, but I'm not saying I have any faith.
You mean adult-oriented Deadpool, not
No, I'm talking about both Deadpool and Daredevil, because when
Daredevil was not the old Daredevil that, I mean... Well, we'll see. I don't know what new Daredevil they have planned.
Now I have no faith in it. But at least then, here's what I'm trying to say was at that time when Spider-Man came out, they knew they had Daredevil back, but they had no intentions of bringing back the old show, right? And through interviews and other things they kept saying is like, we're going to get it's going to be the same actors, but different versions of those characters.
And you just know that the people at Disney probably found the Netflix Daredevils offensive in its maleness and its overt violence and everything that was good about it. You just know the purple hairs at Disney hated it.
The creatives there would not have liked it. No.
The greatest hallway fight scene that may be up there, no, not quite, but Bruce Lee level entertainment value
I would put the Daredevil fight scenes, the hallway fights, certainly the very first one, and the one that the Punisher got in the prison cell. Those are among the greatest fight scenes ever filmed.
Right.
Right up there with the best of Bruce Lee.
And what was really good about the first one was that they didn't Mary Sue him. He was crushed. They
barely stand up straight.
He couldn't stand up straight, and it was almost like the drunken master. He just barely got through that fight. That was just great stuff.
But anyway, my whole point of that is that
sorry.
No, that's fine. I think you guys are right. I think you guys are all onto something. That Chapek was on the road to try and he's like, people like this stuff. Let's get it. Let's do that. People like this. Let's do that.
And let's just take a moment to emphasize this, because the only thing that Marvel got right or got back were the Daredevil character rights. They did not have the rights to anything originating from the Netflix series that were developed by Netflix. All of that was frozen. The costume, the storylines, the script, all of that was under lock and key. They could rehire the cast, but the cast couldn't have the same outfits or anything until they bought back the entire series. At that moment, it became theirs. Now they can do whatever the hell they want. Now they can reuse whatever they want. But they couldn't before they did that. And that was done under Chapek. As you pointed out, Tom.
Yeah, I don't trust the Iger Disney to do anything decently with.
I don't trust the creatives that are there at Marvel, but under Chapek at the very least there was an intention, and we see that with Deadpool Part 3, because that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening under Feige. It wasn't happening
I'm certain.
under Iger.
Yep.
Then comes Chapek, and now suddenly it's happening. And then Kevin Feige is made to go along with it, whatever series or whatever plans he may have had for Deadpool 3. Kareem Daniels, he entered those plans and made them do this instead. Under Iger, that would never have happened. So that means the next project like that is not going to happen, because Kevin Feige is the one now back fully in charge of everything. And he wasn't fully in charge for a few months there.
Yeah, and I think Ryan Reynolds has enough sway to keep the wolves at the door.
Yeah.
I think that and Guardians 3 are the only bright lights that are going to come out of this going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you.